welcome you as we gather here in the St. James Chapel, the Archdiocese of Chicago, and as we join together remotely from our homes. We come together because we have a need to remember and to honor our loved ones who are no longer with us. We gather here because we have learned that while each of us navigates the pathways of grief in our own way, we are not alone in our grief, our tears, and our memories. We gather here remotely during this time of the pandemic so we can reach out to one another with compassion and love, with understanding and with hope. Our loved ones who have died unite us. Your pain becomes our pain. Your joy becomes our joy. Your hope is our hope. What people in grief need most is to be compassionately accompanied and to feel that there is someone who cares about them, willing to be present, to sit with them and tolerate their pain. The Loss program has been a source of solace and hope for the many survivors of suicide who have navigated the troubled waters of grief. On behalf of the Catholic Charities and our Loss staff, please know that it has been a privilege to walk with you on your grief journey and to help you find a bridge over the troubled water of grief.
Feeling small when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down when you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. When darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. Ooh, I will lay me down, like a bridge over troubled water. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine, and all your dreams are on their way. troubled water, I will ease your mind.
Our friend died at his own battlefield, attributed to the Reverend Warren Stevens. Our friend died at his own battlefield. He was killed in action, fighting a civil war. He fought against adversities that were as real to him as his casket is real to us. They were powerful adversaries. They took toll of his energies and endurance. They exhausted the last vestiges of his courage and his strength. At last, these adversaries overwhelmed him, and it appeared that he had lost the war. But did he? I see a host of victories that he has won. For one thing, he has won our admiration, because even if he lost the war, we give him credit for his bravery on the battlefield. And we give him credit for the courage and pride and hope that he used as his weapons as long as he could. We shall remember not his death, but his daily victories gained through his kindness and thoughtfulness, through his love for his friends and family, for all things beautiful, lovely, and honorable. We shall remember not his last day of defeat, but we shall remember the many days that he was victorious over overwhelming odds. We shall remember not the years we thought he had left, but the intensity with which he lived the years that he had. Only God knows what this child of his suffered in the silent skirmishes that took place in his soul, but our consolation is that God does know and understands.
This reading is adapted from a Jewish prayer for the high holidays. It is called Memory. It is hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us what we were in with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo, still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do our best to pay homage to our dead when we live our lives most fully, even in the shadow of our loss.
Remembrance allows us to make our loved ones present to us once again. We see their smiles, we hear their laughter. With the intake of our breath, we become infused with their very essence. No matter the length of their lives, our loved ones have taught us lessons. We know that in addition to the meaning they brought to our world, we continue to give meaning to their lives. Our love for them remains in our hearts. To remember is to embrace both the strengths and imperfections of those whom we have lost by nurturing our own strengths and striving to improve upon our own shortcomings. We remember them as an adaptation of the traditional Jewish Yitzhak service. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of the winter, we remember them. In the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. So long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. May our memories be a source of comfort for us.
We remember those who have died, and we reflect on our relationships and our continued connections with our dear loved ones. We grieve because of the pain our loved ones felt, and we grieve their physical absence, but we also rejoice to have known their love. We express gratitude and wonder for the privilege of having had these wonderful people in our lives. While their time on earth was short, we carry their memory and we honor them through our continuing love. We know that we must embrace a new life without them. The poem, Heavy, by Mary Oliver, reminds us of this. That time I thought I could not go any closer to grief without dying, I went closer, and I did not die. Surely God had his hand in this, as well as friends. Still, I was bent, and my laughter, as the poet said, was nowhere to be found. Then said my friend Daniel, brave even among lions, it's not the weight you carry, but how you carry it. Books, bricks, grief, it's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, carry it, when you cannot and would not put it down. So I went practicing. Have you noticed? Have you heard the laughter that comes now and again out of my startled mouth? How I linger to admire the things of this world that are kind and maybe also troubled. Roses in the wind, the sea geese on the steep waves, a love to which there is no reply.
Light is often a sign of hope. The lighting of a candle can remind us of God's presence with us. The flame of the candle also symbolizes remembrance. As we light these candles, we remember our loved ones. May these lights also represent our own rebirth and renewal as we seek meaning in life without those we loved. as we strive to regain joy, peace, and happiness. We light the candle of memory. We light a candle of memory of the persons we each are remembering. This is a fragile flame. It can be extinguished with a gust of air, or if left to burn, the flame will eventually consume the candle. Each candle has its allotted span of time to burn. Yet while the candle burns, it radiates light and heat. So long after the candle is extinguished or consumed, the fire of life and love still burns. We light the candle of community. We light this candle to signify community, the communities where those who died did their living, and the communities where our loss occurred, and the community we create today in our being together in our lost family. We need one another in our grief, in our loss, and in our starting again. We each need a place to be really heard. We light the candle of grief. We light this candle to acknowledge our grief. We cannot reverse the loss. We can, however, enter fully into the pain and hurt of our loss, and thereby slowly move through to a measure of healing. We light the candle of joy. We light this candle to signify that our sorrow and joy are woven together. We cannot deny the grief that death brings. We must let it spill from our hearts. We must let our sorrow have its time, because our joy has had its time. It is because we knew, loved, and delighted in our relationships we remember today that we feel such sorrow in their endings. Though sorrow is strong, when we remember our grief, there will be a day when once again our joy in life will be greater than our sorrow. We light the candle of mystery. We light this candle to recognize the mystery of life and death. We cannot fully understand the death of our loved ones. In awe and wonder, our thoughts stretch to understand where we come from when we are born and where we go when we die. We know that we may never fully understand the reason our loved one died. We know that our love for them remains. We light the candle of thanksgiving. We light this candle of thanksgiving. We are grateful for the gift of life, even though life does not come without death and endings. We are thankful for the persons whose lives touched and changed our lives. We are thankful that we can continue to give meaning to our loved ones' lives. Our memories can help heal grief and bring us into deeper understandings of ourself, the world, and our relationships. We are thankful for love that never dies.
Secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? this, the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. 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 Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. Her beauty in the moonlight overthrew ya. She tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throne and she cut your hair. And from your lips she drew the hallelujah. 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 Maybe I've been here before. I know this room and I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew ya. I've seen your flag on the marble arch, and love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
One of the feelings or thoughts that survivors are challenged with is that they are challenged to live with mystery. If someone dies from cancer or heart disease or in an automobile accident, we know why they died. But with suicide, we don't know. We have learned that people who complete suicide do so as a result of mental illness, and they struggled. But there are a lot of people in our world who are living with mental illness. Why was it our loved one who happened to take their life? We don't know. And one of the candles that was lit was the candle of mystery. And I believe that as we journey in grief, hopefully the mystery becomes easier to bear. And I remember working with a couple after their son died. He was a sophomore at Northwestern University. And he came home during this fall break, and he shot and killed himself in his parents' bedroom. And about a year and a half after he died, the father came down with acute leukemia, and they could not get it into remission. And he asked me if I would do his funeral. And I said that I would. And we would gather every 2 or 3 weeks to prepare for this moment of his death. And one of the recurring questions that he asked was, when I see Jimmy, the first thing I'm going to ask him is why. Why did you do this to your mother and I? And I was getting ready to say Mass on a Sunday morning when Mildred called me and told me that John had died during the night. And the first thought that came to my mind when John experienced Jimmy's presence was why it didn't matter anymore. I remember working in a group, and during the break, this man came up to me, and I had been working with he and his wife. They were an extremely religious couple. And he asked me, he said, "Where was God when my son needed him the most?" And my response to him was, that's all part of the mystery of God. And that's how I refer to God, as holy mystery. We know that God is holy, but he's also mystery. And we can never comprehend or get our minds around God because of his infinite mystery. And the things that plague us in life, when we die and go to the hereafter, those challenges won't matter. We are engulfed by God. And so as we gather this evening of remembrance, for those who are newly grieving, the pain is very intense and very painful. But as we navigate the journey of grief, in the words of one survivor that I worked with, the pain becomes softer. The joy will come back. Pleasure will be experienced. But our loved ones will never be far from us. And we look forward to the time when we are united with them again in the hereafter. We can only hope and pray that our grief will become softer. And the community of the lost family is always there to support. Grief is a holy thing. It is the proof that another life touched ours in a profound way. It is the mark of love and the mark of connection. We will mourn, we will cry, we will always miss our loved ones. Time will move on, and we may not hurt like we hurt now, but then a thought or a bit of music or a scent will remind us of our loved ones, and it will all come back. Those moments too are holy, as they are reminders of that connection that will never fully go away. It is important to hold on to that connection, because it is through those memories that our loved ones stay with us. In our memories of them, love and connection stay alive, and with it, a part of them. They are truly treasures. For all whom we remember, there will always be a place. May all of us find blessing in our lives, hope in our days, and comfort in our nights.